Hi kawan, welcome to EDCReady. Today we are doing a first impressions video of this guy. This is the Giantmouse RIV that just came in yesterday. I couldn't wait to take it out of the box and do a review out of it. So here we go. This is my first impression. Firstly, what is in the box? Well, we have this ace box. You get the nice mouse logo right there. Just some pretty straightforward stuff. It says here GRN, meaning green micarta. And then in it you have the little plastic bag that it came in. You have this little foam thing, you have some silica gel, and this little Giantmouse sticker card thing. Yeah, it's just a little card. Congratulations on your purchase. Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Now, if you are subscribed to my Patreon, you can watch this video early on because you get early access to content and also early access to giveaways on Patreon, which will happen eventually. So here we go. My first impressions of this guy. Well, taking it out of the box, it's actually really light. I mean, it has titanium on one side and micarta on the other side. So it just has this really light feeling for its size. It feels lighter than the ZT-0450CF, which is of course a much longer knife. However, it is a less chunky knife, I feel. I feel like this knife is just a little bit chunky. The great news is that it is a not skeletonized, it is a rounded. Okay, you have some contouring across the surfaces here and here. So it feels a little bit thinner than its thickness would suggest on paper. So next up, when I got this out of the box, the micarta was actually a little bit lighter. It was more of a light brown than a green. But after some time, all my sweat and my hand oils have kind of stained the micarta. So it's kind of getting into this like nicer, darker green color, which I really like. Now, when I first got this out of the box, I was not shocked by the size of it, but I was shocked by the weight of it, as I already mentioned. But one thing that stood out for me is that I can already see that this is going to have some ergonomic hotspots. For example, these edges here and here, they are chamfered, but they are not rounded. Okay, so I'm going to have to carry this a few more days to find out if that's going to be an issue. But the areas where I did feel like it was going to get a little bit pointy or like hot spotty are these edges back here. These edges here, they are chamfered, but the corners here are not rounded, as you can see there. So I can foresee that this is going to actually be a little bit uncomfortable out of the box. This part here has the same thing, this part here has the same issue. It kind of, as a contrast, this guy here, this little corner here is chamfered, and it's quite a deep chamfer, and it's also slightly rounded. So even though it's not very comfortable, it's still quite relatively smooth compared to this guy, where it is very lightly chamfered but not so rounded. So you do get a bit of a point here, here, and here. Now, the one thing I did enjoy looking at was this round pocket clip right there. Another knife that does this really well is the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. If I can find it, where are you? No, but in contrast, you have this Quiet Carry Quiet Carry Waypoint, which has this little like corner here, which gives it a little bit of a hot spot. So I'm happy they went with this rounded wire clip here. Flicking this guy until today, 24 hours later, I have a tough time flipping it open. And the reason is because any pressure on the lock bar at all, and it's not going to flip. Okay, if your finger is on the lock bar, it's not going to flip. If your finger is on the pocket clip, it's not going to flip either, because you are still putting a little bit of pressure through the pocket clip onto the lock bar. The only way to successfully flick this out is to actually have your fingers all the way back here on this corner here, this rounded corner, then it flicks out. The detent is great for flicking. Like Rayot, which I believe is the creator of the manufacturer of this knife, does the detent really well. But see, now even with my finger here, I can't flip it open. I have to put it back all the way, and then it might flip open. Sometimes you don't get the right leverage because of the position of your fingers. You just don't get that strength that you need to flip it out. Speaking of flicking it out, it's actually quite rough coming out of the box. Like even now, don't know if you can hear that. You can hear a little bit of roughness where the detent rubs against the face of the tang there. Yeah, so I'm gonna definitely need to take this apart to clean it out a little bit. Now, in terms of flicking action is really nice. You can do the reverse finger flick. This one came out pretty naturally. You can even do the thumb flick if you get the right angle. If you get the right angle. There we go. So this is a much better flicking knife than it is a flipping knife. Yeah, I think I said that right. Okay, So I just really hope the flipping action improves over time. In terms of flicking, it's pretty darn good. Now in terms of its ergonomics, what I expected to happen back here did happen, because ergonomically the knife is great from here all the way to the 90% mark. It is this final 10-15% of the knife that's kind of uncomfortable because of all the sharp, relatively hard edges that you see here. So you do get quite a bit of a hot spot in the last 10 to 15% of the knife. The rest of the knife is great. You have a nice finger groove here, you have a nice finger groove here, which is, by the way, rounded and smoothed out. It doesn't have any jimping, which actually makes it really comfortable. Please take note, Spyderco. Rounded edges on the top here, and jimping a little bit far forward, which is where my thumb naturally rests. So I really like that. It's really good in this kind of utility grip to do any kind of push cuts. Also, this sheep's foot blade, I don't know if it's called a sheep's foot blade, but yeah, this blade, very nice to do that kind of pull cuts, which I do on a regular basis. It feels very sharp because it comes out with sorry, the top is quite a thin edge, it's not that thick. Let's compare it with the ProTech Malibu. Yeah, so it actually looks a little bit thinner, or right about the same as the ProTech Malibu, but it's a very high flat grind. The grind starts off very high and it gets a very nice keen edge at the bottom. So I really like that. I think it's going to be a great slicer once I do more testing with it. Now, that's all I have for the first impressions. I still have not taken this guy apart. Watch out for that video early on Patreon and a little bit later on YouTube. Thanks guys, and stay ready.